Hello, thank you for joining us. This is Nationwide. I'm Ruth Aguela. President Bola Tinubu has rescheduled his official visit to Kaduna State. Instead, he will travel to Benue State on Wednesday, June 18, 2025, as part of renewed efforts to foster peace and address the persistent conflict affecting communities in the state. A statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says the president's visit aims to assess firsthand the recurring crisis that has claimed numerous lives and caused significant destruction. During his stay, President Tinubu will meet with all stakeholders, including traditional rulers, religious leaders, community leaders, and youth groups, to seek lasting solutions to the hostilities. In preparation for the visit, President Tinubu has already dispatched the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Inspector General of Police, heads of intelligence agencies, the National Security Advisor, and the chairmen of Senate and House Defense Committees to Benue State. In the same development, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, says the continued bloodletting and mindless killings across Benue State are both disheartening and utterly condemnable. He says this latest reprehensible act, one among too many, is not merely a tragedy for Benue, it is a deep wound to the soul of our nation. As the dastardly acts are not restricted to Benue State alone, Plateau and Zamfara states also suffer the same fate. Beyond mourning, he calls on all sons and daughters of Benue and key stakeholders to come together now, urgently, to forge a path towards lasting peace and security. In other news, efforts at providing potable water for the growing populace of Abuja residents are coming to fruition with the inauguration of Greater Abuja Water Supply Project, loops 1, 2, 5, and 6. Expressing his delight at the eventual completion of the water project, President Bola Tinubu says his administration remains committed to making life better for Nigerians through the provision of democracy dividends to all Nigerians. Now, the water project was undertaken by Chinese engineers. We'll bring you full details in subsequent bulletin. ECOWAS is undertaking a mid-term evaluation of the implementation of decisions, programs, and activities of its institutions during the 37th meeting of the Administration and Finance Committee in Abuja. Emphasis is on how to sustain funding for critical projects in the face of dwindling resources. Kelvin Ahunwaye reports.
A central agenda at this meeting is the financial implications arising from the exit of 3 of its members, with the vacancies now created from the withdrawal of their citizens from ECOWAS institutions. Another issue is the reduction in international funding from development partners, which is affecting implementation of critical interventions and programs across member states. As custodian of the community finances and advisors, these officials will in the next 3 days evaluate ECOWAS' financial situation and come up with creative ways to sustain the goals of regional integration and free trade.
As finance and administrative experts, please put up your creative and thinking mind to see how we can intensify effective utilization of our resources internally within the institutions, but also to have a contingency strategy of doing away with any foreign development assistance that we relied upon.
On community level, member states are expected to realize the need to comply with the protocol, especially that the 3 members of countries of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have withdrawn their membership of ECOWAS. By so doing, it is not only going to send a strong positive signal to analysts and observers on the prospects and future of ECOWAS, but also enable the regional body to carry out its programs, including those that have a direct impact on the lives of the citizens of the community.
The recommendations from this meeting are expected to be presented to the Council of Ministers, which will take a look at the various proposals in ensuring that ECOWAS remains financially stable to meet its obligations and objectives. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA.
On NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, earlier in the day, guests offered thoughtful insights into the future of ECOWAS, stressing that deeper collaboration among member states is key to unlocking the region's full potential. Well, they also seek harmonization of immigration systems, stronger alignment on environmental issues, and the adoption of a unified structural and economic policy to drive integration and growth across West Africa. Thomas Ogbetere reports.
As ECOWAS marks 50 years of working to promote unity, economic integration, and political stability across its 15 member nations, the conversation on Good Morning Nigeria turned to the challenges still confronting the region. Guests emphasized the pressing need to tackle insecurity, reduce poverty, and create more inclusive economic opportunities. They also underscored the importance of boosting trade, attracting investment, and accelerating industrialization across West Africa as key pillars to long-term development and prosperity.
ECOWAS, its success and failure is the success and failure or the reflection of the sum total of its membership.
The West African Economic Summit being planned by the federal government. I also think it's a step in the right direction, to ginger the region to focus on economic development.
The panel urged ECOWAS leaders to take a bold, forward-thinking approach, one that enables the organizations to speak with a united voice on critical issues such as the economy, climate, and security.
And what we can do is to reinvent some of the tools that we are using for the interventions that ECOWAS has done, both in economy, social, economic issues, security, defense, and across board.
Looking ahead, guests emphasized the need for visionary and accountable leadership that puts people at the center of policy. They called on ECOWAS to fully implement its own protocols, especially when it comes to conflict resolutions and regional integration, in order to strengthen unity and build a more resilient West Africa. In Abuja, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar has strongly canvassed equitable trade and deeper economic engagement for Nigeria at the coordinators' meeting of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation and the concurrent China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo in China. NTA's diplomatic correspondent, Patricia Esamiluba, reports on how Nigeria is leading critical conversations that could shape the next phase of Africa-China ties.
In the vibrant city of Chansa, where banners of unity drop the skyline and trade halls buzzing with continental ambition, Nigeria took center stage, calling for a reset in how Africa and China do business. Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar emphasized that the future of this cooperation must be built on mutual prosperity.
Of course, critical minerals and mining, we want to see more domestication of the processes, the refining. We want to see a domestication of value addition on the supply and value chain.
Nigeria's message wasn't delivered in isolation, as in the earlier official opening of FOCAC meeting, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi held a series of sideline consultations with African delegates, including Nigeria. These high-level diplomatic talks between the Chinese minister and African foreign ministers focused on not just the pledges made, but how to turn them into tangible results, especially ahead of the next FOCAC summit in 2026.
China will continue to deepen trust, enhance development cooperation, and support Africa's path to modernization through industrial partnerships, digital trade, and sustainable infrastructure.
Meanwhile, at the parallel China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo, deals were signed, partnerships were announced, and African countries, including Nigeria, showcased investment opportunities in sectors ranging from agriculture to technology and renewable energy. For Nigeria, however, the takeaway from Chansa is clear. Africa no longer seeks aid, but equitable opportunity.
Partnership is one that keeps opening up for more concrete collaboration, which is built on trust, on the shared future under the Belt and Road Initiative. From Chancellor, Hunan Province, Patricia Esamiluba.
Thank you, Patricia. Nigeria's Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, has engaged in high-level meetings with leaders from several island nations to solicit support for Nigeria's bid for election into Category C of the International Maritime Organization Council later this year. The minister met separately with the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, James Marape, the Minister of Sustainable Development of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Joel Clark, and the Minister of Home Affairs of Tuvalu, Dr. Mana Vakafua Talia. Oyetola explained that Nigeria's quest for a seat on IMO Council is not driven by ambition alone, but by a desire to ensure greater representation for African nations, developing countries, and vulnerable coastal and island states in global maritime decision-making. On the judiciary, to enhance access to justice and align with global best practices in judicial administration, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, says the digitization transition of the Lagos Judicial Division scheduled for June 23, 2025 will commence and run concurrently with the manual process. In a statement in Abuja, the court says this is to ensure a seamless adoption of the e-filing transition while addressing feedback and operational concerns received from stakeholders. The court encourages legal practitioners to obtain and activate their legal mail accounts as possession of a legal mail, which remains a key requirement for accessing the e-filing platform. In other news, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has charged the Nigerian Army to be steadfast and committed in discharging their duties to the nation. While he was speaking during the passing out parade of the new 88 regular recruits intake at the Hamakim Parade Ground in Zaria, Kaduna State. Lawal Salo Inwa reports.
These are the 6,195 new recruits of the Nigerian Army. They undergo 6 months training in various aspects of military drills as part of the commitment of the Nigerian Army towards reinforcing the fight against insurgency, banditry, and other security challenges in the country and beyond. The reviewing officer, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, charged the new soldiers to exhibit high sense of professionalism while discharging their duties.
We need the training they've got here. They're going to do well in the field. So we're hoping to deploy them as soon as possible, and we expect that with their deployment, we'll have some better secured theaters.
He added that their welfare will continue to remain a top priority in his philosophy of leadership for conducive atmosphere of service to the officers and men of the Nigerian Army. Lieutenant General Oluyede reiterated the commitment of the Nigerian Army towards addressing the challenges of insecurity in all parts of the country. From Zaria, Lawal Sallau Inwa, NTA News.
All right, let's find out what's happening in Lagos. Adiola is standing by for us. Adiola is standing by for us.
Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, is determined to use the Badagry Door of Return project as a springboard for the growth of the tourism industry and attract investment from Nigerians abroad. Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri Erewa, says the initiative seeks to connect the past, present and future to bring back those who have lost their ancestral roots due to slave trade. Joel Bobola has the report.
From the door of no return, which captures the sad narrative of the transatlantic slave trade, the situation is now being reversed as the door of return is being fast-tracked to welcome Nigerians in diaspora who are expected to walk in through this door as kings and queens, ending the stigma of slave trade. The chairman and CEO of NIDCOM, Abike Dabirewa is optimistic that the Door of Return will be the biggest tourist destination when completed.
This is the last year, the 10th year of the UN Declaration for Persons of African Descent. Nigeria will be doing something really significant that connects our past with our present and our future. The historic African diaspora, they're talking of coming back home. They just don't want tourism. They want to return to their motherland. This door will be a symbolic return for them economically, spiritually.
The Mobi of Badagry Kingdom and other stakeholders who received the NIDCOM team are excited about the economic prospect of the project, which they say will boost the status of the community.
I've shown us the diagram, the design, and then we are now at the site to see things by ourselves. So I think what they are doing is commendable.
And if you look straight, you see a point of no return where the slaves passes through. We are saying that they are coming back home when they will go through that place and come through the door. And this door is going to be one of the iconic tower in Africa.
The project is crucial to the Door of Return Festival scheduled for October this year, which will be the 5th edition, and this year it is hoped that it will be a permanent Door of Return. In Lagos, Joel Okbola, NTA News.
Implementation of policy framework and not entirely the absence of well-structured rules of engagement to harmonize the cultural tourism and creative economy was identified as one of the several drawbacks facing the industry. These and other diverse issues were captured by various speakers at an annual conference by the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization, CBAC, under the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy in Lagos. Amaka Owo reports.
Cultural tourism, creative economy and sustainable development in Africa forms the theme of this conference. It provides an opportunity for enthusiasts, key players and researchers from the academia to x-ray issues on to what extent Nigeria can harness the gains of the cultural tourism and the creative economy.
I think one thing that I would say the ministry is getting right is that they are introducing the creative economy, not just the creativity that we have been pursuing all along, but adding the economic aspects to it.
Director General, Center for Black African Arts and Civilization, CBAC, says the creative industry presents massive income-generating opportunity and that the earning power of Nigerian youths from the creative content must be at par with their contemporaries in other climes.
Our job now is to ensure that we build up these spaces, ensure we have the intellectual property rights and laws properly implemented to ensure that our artists, our young people, our creatives are getting what they deserve.
Experts also advocate the importance of being searchlight on festivals across Nigeria to deepen knowledge and relevance of the African culture.
Cultural tourism is about people. It's people-centered, it's people-oriented. It generates employment, it develops the economy.
The creative economy remains a pillar for diversification, such that providing the appropriate structure and leveraging technology helps to produce innovative skills for goods and services. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
And with that report to conclude our contribution on Nationwide, it's back to you, Ruth, in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Adiola. And from our end, let's take a break. Thank you for staying tuned. Stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress from Zone 1 in Kaduna State have expressed their support for President Bola Tinubu, emphasizing that they have never, had it better than under his current leadership. The endorsement came during a meeting where a motion was moved by the Speaker of the House of Representatives calling for the continuation of President Tinubu's administration. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports.
PC stakeholders from Zone 1 gathered to speak with one voice, from former governors to serving ministers, lawmakers, commissioners and party chieftains. The message was loud and clear. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Basani and Abbas will continue beyond 2027. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. For Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, it's about results, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has delivered. He says only Zone 1 in Kaduna State has over 50 billion projects ongoing.
The people of the Kaduna State Zone 1 have agreed unconditionally to endorse President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
From house-to-house campaigns to zonal strategy meetings, speaker after speaker emphasized the need for unity as a bedrock of APC's continued success across the country. In a unanimous voice vote, the meeting closed with a resounding endorsement of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Governor Ubasani, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, all officially adopted as APC's sole candidates for 2027 election. In Kaduna, I'm Muhammad Umarajingi, NTA News.
Well, I'm sure there are other news we can get from Muhammad Umarajingi, but this time around in the studio. Hello, Muhammad.
Thank you for joining us. Of course, we have more stories from this end. The Kaduna State Governor Ubasani has reminded political office holders that their focus must be on the citizens of Kaduna State because they are the servants of the people. So the people's interest is paramount. The governor gave this advice during the swearing-in ceremony of newly appointed commissioners. The report. It was a moment of renewed commitment to public service as the governor administered oath of office to the newly appointed top government officials of Kaduna State.
I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability.
Among those sworn in were the new Commissioner of Education, Professor Abubakar Sani Sambo, the Commissioner of Youth Development, Barrister Gloria Ibrahim, and the new Head of Service, Jummai Bako.
You have been called.
The governor reminded the appointees that their positions are called to duty, not a reward. He says transparency and responsiveness to the yearnings of the citizens of Kaduna State will be the benchmark of their success.
Despite huge challenges, we have continued to deliver on our promises and mandates. We are determined to finish well. You are therefore expected to help push our administration to leave lasting legacies. You must ensure you think out of the box.
With this renewed charge from the governor, the administration signals a clear direction that the welfare and progress of Kaduna citizens must remain the compass of leadership in Kaduna. Youths in this country have been asked to develop entrepreneurship skills and self-reliant programs as catalysts for reducing the rate of unemployment and criminal activities in the society. And this was the focus of the annual symposium lecture organized by Makarfi Youth Progressive Forum, held at Shehu Idris College of Health Science and Technology, Makarfi. Lawasalo Inwa was there for NTA.
Statistics show that Nigeria has a projection of more than 223 million population, which is expected to rise to 300 million by the year 2030. This rapid population growth has prompted the stakeholders to take appropriate actions in tackling the challenges of unemployment, which is 42.5% out of the present population as noted by the experts. This is among the reasons for organizing the symposium to the teeming youth in Makarfi local government to encourage innovation and promote engagement in various business opportunities for them to be self-reliant.
Ensuring that they acquire as much knowledge as possible in the formal way, but in addition to that, they should also have skills, skills in various walks of life.
It will also encourage them to key into empowerment or entrepreneurship opportunities. They will take into trades and other entrepreneurship activities that will keep them busy.
I'm proud to announce that we have 13 young innovators among us, each brimming with idea and potential. These talented individuals represent cornerstone of our vision for brighter future.
As an area where the majority are farmers, a panel discussion on the challenges of agriculture was also part of the third annual symposium, while questions and answers session followed. From Magafi local government in Kaduna State, Lawal Sallau Inwa, NTA News.
And as our contributions from this end nationwide continue with Ruth Aguele in our Abuja studio. Ruth, this is the size of our bulletin. You can take it over from here.
Thank you, Mohammed. Always good to see you. The National Film and Video Censors Board is seeking collaboration with the Nigerian Television Authority to enhance regulation, classification and promotion of video content across Nigeria. This was during a courtesy visit to the Director General NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dambos, expressing concerns over the increasing number of unclassified audiovisual content in circulation and their potential to erode traditional Nigerian culture and values, as well as low data documentation of indigenous productions.
Because a lot of these filmmakers just make these films and they keep them with them without passing them so that we can capture data and the rest. So we are hoping that we'll use this to revive this issue of data. We need data. We need data to help investment. We need data to let people know how our film industry is contributing to job creation and also adding value economically.
It is a great one for the industry because I believe that finally, with this platform that you're creating, a lot of those hidden filmmakers who are doing fantastic work, especially in indigenous languages, will finally get a platform where the world can see their work. And that is a remarkable thing for me. And I believe that NTA, you know, it goes smack into our mandate. We want to be a part of that. We definitely will be a part of that. And I believe you'll carry us on as you go further.
The collaboration, according to the National Film and Video Censors Board, is a step towards enhancing Nigeria's media ecosystem by ensuring that the reach and content of every film production reflects the country's cultural heritage. Today is the International Day of the African Child, a day, or rather an opportunity to reflect on the progress made in promoting children's rights and welfare in Africa. But what are some of the challenges, countries face, especially countries like Nigeria, in improving access to education, healthcare and protection for children? Well, earlier in our studio, we had a legal practitioner talk about ways to make life better for the African child. Let's see the excerpt.
Looking at African children globally, particularly bringing it home to Nigeria, we look at issues that are plaguing them. First of all, we see the issue of insecurity. Starting from the recent incident at Yellowater, we can think of the issues that are going to affect the children there. Insecurity is a very deadly menace that is threatening children in Nigeria. Education is stopped and families displaced, and the mental health of children terribly destabilized. So how can we put an end to this thing, if not putting a global end, or would I say continental edge to the issue of insecurity? Because once the issue of insecurity is solved, children can go to school without fear and they can be able to concentrate without any form of mental trauma. I want to believe that for now, schools in Ilewata are closed and who knows when they will be opened. Now we're also looking at the case of educational gaps. There are gaps in the educational system. Our children look like they are being trained to be employees without giving them the incentives to become employers themselves. Starting from the early age, we see a whole lot that has to be done. First of all, let's invest properly into the early years foundation stage. That way, we are able to reap cognitive gains, and we're also able to boost literacy from children at an early age. Secondly, let's also embrace the use of technology in teaching. Not just technology, but also training the human capacity, who are the teachers, to be at par with common trends, global standards of teaching. The pedagogy has to change. It doesn't have to be copying notes on blackboards anymore. Things can be improved. And that is to bring the African child to stand on global stages and do what they know how best to do. They should be secured, nurtured, groomed to stand shoulder to shoulder with their mates internationally.
And one way to get all of that right is upgrading the education system. And beyond the crisis of poor learning outcomes, Nigeria's education system is also on the siege from a less visible but equally devastating threat: climate change and its crippling toll on water, sanitation and hygiene, wash services in schools. As erratic weather patterns dry up water sources and flood-prone zones, damage school infrastructures, while millions of children are left vulnerable to disease, absenteeism and learning disruptions. Zenred Dimun reports on stakeholders' efforts at safeguarding the future of learning.
Not so good wash facilities. Like we use a lifting pump, which we share with the junior school, but we improvise.
Our school also have good toilets. There's a shower, there's a flusher. There's also a sink where we brush our teeth, and drinking water is not a problem.
For many Nigerian students, the daily struggle for basic hygiene is more than just an inconvenience. It's a barrier to learning. While opinions may differ, the reality remains the same. A clean and safe school environment is fundamental to effective learning. The consensus is clear. Comfort and dignity are non-negotiable in the pursuit of academic excellence.
That educational institutions can model effective wash practices that adapt to the changing climate by investing in sustainable infrastructure.
When these facilities are there, they have to be climate resilient, such that they can stand the problems of climate, the impact of climate change. So
the good news is that the federal government is not turning a blind eye. Through the Federal Ministry of Education, several policy interventions are being rolled out to boost investment in school wash infrastructure.
We will explore innovative solutions, best practices and policy recommendations to enhance resilience of wash services.
Organizations such as the Nigerian National Commission for UNESCO are also stepping up, playing critical roles in advocacy, partnerships and technical support, with a call for a united front and collective will to rewrite the wash story in schools. Zenred Dimun, NTA News.
In recognition of the value of infrastructure development as the artery through which economic, social and civil development flows, the Cross River State government is prioritizing investment in this sector. One sector with a distinctive touch is education, and the Cross River State is receiving accolades for renovating the State Library to a world-class facility, we hear. Let's see that.
These are essential for promoting education, fostering literacy and preserving knowledge while also serving as safe and welcoming spaces for diverse communities. The Cross River State Library had in the past been positioned to provide all the services a library can offer, but at another time suffered a major setback and most worrisomely neglected for too long. Today, the Cross River State Library has become a signature and a delight to Cross River residents.
A hub for educational advancement, information gathering, research.
To see that our state library has been remodeled, restructured, our library now is aligned online to our capacity, we are very, very proud.
And it's also categorized. We have the children's section of the library. And we also have mini halls where they could have conferences. So it's a full package.
In Calabar, Maureen Leo Ajom, NTA News.
And let's join Maureen Leo to give us more insight on this innovative library we're saying top class we hear. Maureen Leo, please tell us.
As you just watched in that report, library is very fundamental to learning. The State Library is one of the democratic gains that the current administration has improved upon. The governor made this infrastructure in a very dilapidated state and without usage. With the renovation and remodeling of the complex, it is now a state-of-the-art facility as far as modern library is concerned, having all the components of a library in terms of internet service, in terms of modern books, comfort and convenience for reading. The Cross River State government is also building primary schools that were long abandoned across the local government areas of the state. Some of the schools that existed had no fencing. They had no convenient, even chairs and tables. Government is also intervening in this area. Over to you, the newscaster, for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Maureen Leo. Of course, we must preserve the culture of reading while imbibing innovative means. Let's head to Jos and find out what's happening there. Mary Dumtur is standing by.
Many thanks for joining us in Jos. And we begin with health, where towards revolutionizing healthcare delivery in Plateau State, Governor Caleb Mutfwang inaugurated the state-of-the-art laboratory complex and administrative block at the Plateau State Specialist Hospital, Jos. Ndayang and Debagang reports.
The laboratory is equipped with modern medical facilities to provide world-class healthcare to the people. Governor Caleb Mutfwang says the project is a giant step towards universal health coverage, reiterating government's commitment to investing in modern, accessible, and affordable healthcare for all citizens.
Doctors that we have here on the plateau, the diverse experiences, we believe that Plateau will soon become a national focal point in healthcare provision.
The Chief Medical Director, Professor Christopher Yilwa, says the laboratory has advanced diagnostic equipment as well as specialized units, while the administrative block is upgraded to digital platform for easy and seamless administrative processes.
This is an opportunity for training because with the lab and equipping of the lab, we are exposed to what is happening globally, because that means we are having more of automated machines.
We believe the governor is striving in the right direction to improve the health facility and the system of the state.
Those challenges that patients do come and they will say, go and make tests outside, go and do this outside, is no longer going to happen.
The laboratory technicians to improve in sampling testing of the patients.
Stakeholders urge citizens to utilize the facility and management of the hospital to maintain it. In Jos, Ndanyan and Abuja, NTA News.
And still talking health, the Medical Director, National Orthopedic Hospital, Jos, Professor Ichaonche, is expressing optimism that the hospital will discourage medical tourism and save the country foreign exchange through its wide range of services in musculoskeletal diseases and injuries. Bilkisu Nuhu reports that the hospital has commenced full services to outpatients.
The National Orthopedic Hospital is a regional hospital that was established to serve 6 states: Plateau, Nasarawa, Benue, Kogi, Kwara, and Niger states.
It goes beyond that, other areas like Gombe and further northeast states, as well as FCT. These are the main areas that form our catchment area, our primary catchment area. This will reduce costs and save us foreign exchange, because a lot of money, taken to be about 2 billion naira, is spent on medical tourism alone in this country.
Professor Onche says orthopedic practice is a huge segment of Medicare, as it comprises trauma, musculoskeletal disease, and injuries. With the commencement of operations, the hospital will reduce the cost of medical tourism in the country.
So I think the benefit is enormous. Today, you see, I'm here for also my wife to ensure that she have attention. Probably I would have been thinking of going to Kano or elsewhere.
Before now, they are done in India, in Egypt. People go to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia to access those kind of surgeries. But this facility will be offering these services to the populace.
To be sited here on the plateau is a great privilege.
Having seen this has not taken place properly, but see a lot of patients coming in and out.
The medical director says there is smooth collaboration between the hospital and JUT in terms of top-notch services to patients. He urges the public to avail themselves of the vast services. In Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Jos. Nationwide will continue in our Ibadan studio, but after this break. Good evening.
Nationwide and welcome to Ibadan. The federal government says potentials in the culture and tourism sectors are significant in its diversification agenda and can take the country to the next level when adequately harnessed. The Minister of Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa Musawa, stated this while exploring facilities at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Hakim Jimo reports.
The minister, who was conducted around the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Okimoso, Abeokuta, acknowledges that the Presidential Library is a one-stop shop for culture, tourism, and creative arts, where tourists can learn, relax, wine, and unwind with the state-of-the-art facilities in place.
Using our tradition, using our ideals, using who we are as a people. So I'm glad that I came here, and I think I will go away as a more empowered Nigerian, and I go away as a more inspired minister.
She promised that the federal government, through its Renewed Hope initiative, will collaborate with the center to give it a national outlook.
This has really given me a very long-term idea of the vision that the president has, whereby, he wants to do this leveraging, grow the economy, have job creation, capacity building.
Reacting, former President Olusegun Obasanjo notes that the library was fashioned after presidential libraries in the United States in line with international best practices.
Learn mainly from successful leaders what they have done, how they have done it, what problems have they faced, and how they handle the problem they face.
The minister has since returned to Abuja. In Abeokuta, Hakim Jimo, NTA News.
Many organisms on Earth, including humans, depend on rain to sustain life and provide hydration. But some wrongful practices during rainfall could be detrimental to human and environmental health. In this report, Kemi Oshin takes a look at the state of drainages during raining season.
Over the roof with a pitter-patter, on the ground with a tit-tat-tit. It falls down with its music, brings down peace to our minds. These are the last words of a poem describing rainfall, which is nature's blessings. However, the peace that rainfall is supposed to bring is often altered by harmful practices in the form of dumping refuse on waterways and drainages during rainfall, leading to significant environmental and health issues.
Another major environmental issue that we are dealing with, which has been recurring, is poor waste management. And if you ask me if there are efforts in ensuring the protection of our environmental health, I would say yes. We have a lot of efforts going on.
Environmental experts have identified lack of adequate enforcement of existing regulations and poor waste management systems as major reasons for continued wrong dumping practices in urban areas.
It can cause water pollution. It can also cause overflowing of water into the streets, which will cause the road to be damaged.
Everybody should be law-abiding so that we can help the government.
Continued community education and recycling options have therefore been suggested as ways to encourage responsible waste disposal habits and improve drainage systems in Ibadan. Kemi Oshi, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Ruth, it's back to you.
Thank you, Kemi. And let's do sports update right away.
Organizers of the Under-18 Chief of Defense Staff Basketball Championship have expressed their commitment to building upon the achievements being made at the ongoing 2025 CDS Under-18 Democracy Day Basketball Championship at the Package B of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Brigadier General Abdullahi Aliyu, retired, chairman of the local organizing committee, stated that the basketball competition is part of an initiative by the Chief of Defense Staff to positively engage youth in the northern region, with plans to expand the annual event to all corners of the country.
The fundamental basics the Chief of Defense Staff wanted is to ensure that these young people are given an opportunity to showcase their talents, and then for those who are scouting to pick these young talents, and the sky can just be their starting point.
Meanwhile, Brazilian and South American champions Botafogo managed to fend off a late challenge from MLS team Seattle Sounders, securing a 2-1 victory in their Group B opener of the Club World Cup at Lumen Field. Currently, Botafogo sits second in Group B based on goal difference, following Paris Saint-Germain's impressive 4-0 win against Atletico Madrid earlier in the day. Botafogo will face PSG while Seattle will play Atletico on Thursday, while Chelsea will kick off their 2025 Club World Cup campaign against LAFC on Monday in Atlanta, as Enzo Maresca's team aims to add to their trophy collection following last month's triumph in the Conference League. And Boca Juniors will also be competing against Benfica at Hard Rock Stadium. This will be Boca's second match in the tournament, while Benfica is making their debut. And finally, in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz reflected on his remarkable French Open victory over world number 1 Yannick Sinner with a sense of disbelief as he shifts his focus to the quest for his third consecutive Wimbledon title. The 22-year-old staged a comeback from 2 sets down and saved 3 match points in a stunning 4-6, 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 7-6 win against the Italian in a match that captivated the crowd in Paris. For Sports Update, Bright Ebuchu, NTA News.
And we're done with Nationwide. Thank you for being part of it. I'm Ruth Aguele. Good evening.